Home finance. That's usually what you start off with, vehicle finance, home finance. Before we dive in, I just want to quickly tell you the morning of, I will ask you to look at this. And the total marks are right there, 78. 120 minutes, that's 2 hours, plus half an hour. Everybody gets an extra half hour if you need. And here are the breakdowns, right? Home finance, 16, so 16, 19, and 14. These are the heaviest ones out of all. And which units are those? Home finance, vehicle finance, geometry, and trigonometry. So those are the heaviest. And then obviously probability, statistics, and precision measurement are still around as well. So those are the heaviest. So they break it down and they tell you what the suggested time is. Nobody ever goes back here and checks, like, did I spend about 50 minutes? Oh no. Like, you just do whatever you need to do, okay? But please don't leave anything blank. Here is where you have to pay attention. When it says calculate, you have to make sure you show your work. Okay, this is on like the second or third page when you open this booklet. The formula sheet is going to be inside this booklet, most likely at the back. This one has it at the back, most likely. If you flip to the back, there it is. So you rip this out, okay? That your booklet is actually made to rip it out. And that's the formula sheet that you're going to use. Complete answers. Provide explanations and justifications. If it says explain or justify, you have to write something. Okay, you have to write. So don't forget that. Well organized. Let the values of each question guide you how much work needs to be done. Okay, and 2 decimal places when rounding, unless otherwise indicated, which is precision measurement. There we do not round. Okay, I would say this, if it's money, if it's 450, there's something wrong with that. You need $sign and you need the second decimal. Okay, always. Money, always 2 decimals. Include units and your final answer. They don't care about along the way, but the final answer. And some answers are to be given as decimal. Rounding too early, right, may result in inaccurate final answer. So that's the trigonometry. If you don't use all decimals, you may actually lose marks as well for rounding. The beauty here is, guys, rounding, only one time that I mark it wrong. I only take 1/2 mark off in the entire exam. That's it. If you forget your units, there's only 1/2 deduction for units. So I don't take it off every time. That's how they do the provincial exam. So that's the nice thing, but try not to lose it if you don't have to, okay? All right, let's get started. If you ever are unsure about the words, state, describe, explain, justify, support, sketch, go back. These words are always there, okay? They're always there. And identify, choose is usually multiple choice. State, you can use a word, a sentence, or just a number without explanation or work. Describe, obviously you can use words, symbols, diagrams, charts, anything. You can even use math to make your point. Justify, right, an explanation or evidence that shows why your method or idea works. Sketch, obviously, just sketch a diagram. That's for parallelograms and all those shapes. Calculate, you have to use some sort of formula. Determine, it's a verification or confirmation by count, observation, and so forth. All right, it's not all that complicated. Let's go to home finance. Okay, question 1. Satram's home has an assessed value of $430,000. Calculate the total portion assessment if the portion percentage is 45%. I don't know if you remember this, but if they give you 45% and the entire value, the portion assessment is going to be the value of home multiplied by 0.45. This should be under home finance. You should have this. Even if you don't, it's pretty much a giveaway. So 430,000 times 0.45, that amounts to 193,500. So this is I would always say circle your final answer and make sure you have units. Okay. Next, the mill rate for the municipal tax, right, is 24 mills on the portion assessment on this one. Calculate the municipal tax. When it's mill rate, guys, what do you divide a mill rate by? 1,000. Please don't forget that. Always. Okay, always divide your mill rate by 1,000. It's like when you see percentage, what are you dividing by? 100, not 1,000. Percent symbol, how many zeros does a percent symbol have? 2, right? So it should be 100. So here we go. You take the portioned assessment times mill rate divided by 1,000. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. They just want the municipal tax. So we go 193,500 times. The mill rate is a whole number. Sometimes it is a number with decimals. Okay, you still divide it by 1,000. So now you're going to get your dollar amount. So you go 24 divided by 1,000. This is what I do first. Then I multiply it by 193,500. And it's a lot of money, right? 4,644. 4,644 exactly, so you don't need any decimals if it's an exact amount. In addition to the municipal tax, there are education taxes of, right? Education taxes of 3,870. You just flat out give it to you. And a tax credit of $700. I would suggest you should highlight on the exam. Feel free to do that. Calculate the total amount of property taxes paid. When it comes to the total, you go municipal plus education plus, what's the other thing that we might have to add? There's another cost. You said it, right? Improvements. Chelsea said it. Improvements. Exactly, but if there are, then that's also what you would want, and then minus credit. That's a good point. So this is just in general. Okay, so we know our municipal. So let's say you made a mistake up here. It doesn't matter. You just continue using it. 3870. They didn't give us a mill rate, right, for education. They just flat out gave us the amount. Plus, oh, there are no improvements, so can I do 0 there? Yeah, plus 0. Minus, please subtract the credit, please. Oftentimes it's just beautiful and then someone just adds the credit. I'm like, no, that would not be cool if the city did that to us. So we add the education to what I had. I subtract the 700, and there we go. It's a whopping $7,814 that you're going to have to pay for property taxes, and it's always a yearly amount. Okay, when you calculate that, it's per year. For the whole year, you pay $7,800. That's a lot of money. Okay, so to learn from this page, in my opinion, is mill rate divided by 1,000, and how do you figure out your property tax at the end of the day. And I'm going to give you your tests back if you don't have them already next week, and then you'll be able to see all of this. It will come back. Those tests are good because I based them on the exam. Next, question 2. George is considering purchasing a home. He earns a gross income of $44,400 annually. That means a year. The monthly heating is $140. So monthly heating, monthly property taxes, monthly mortgage payment. Everything is monthly except for the income. The income is not monthly. It says calculate George's gross debt service ratio. The GDSR, that formula is on your formula sheet. Can I just borrow that real quick, Majestic? Right here. GDSR, monthly mortgage, monthly property taxes, and monthly heating divided by gross monthly income. But what's the magic number for GDSR? 32%. That's why I would like you to have somewhere on your study sheet GDSR 32%. Okay. Here, Candace. This is what we're working through. Okay, GDSR. So we got the mortgage, the property taxes, the heating costs, right? All of that divided by the income. So we're going to do a little bit of work here. We're going to go 44,400, divide that by 12. And what do you get? What is it? 3,700, that's right. So I believe this gets you a mark already in this question. So you go divide it by 3,700. My formula says always multiply this by 100 and then you get a percentage. They don't tell us whether they want it as a decimal or percentage, so not a big deal. So if you add it all up, you get 940 plus 200 plus 140, so you get 1280 at the top and 3,700 at the in the denominator. So you go ahead and divide it. Please don't rush. So that's 34.59%. Or that is rounded. Because the 9 has the 4 next to it that doesn't affect it, right? Anything 5 or less doesn't affect the number. So this actually gets to 59. Let me just do this here real quick. If they want it as a decimal, you would round this to 2 decimals. So that would be 0.35. 0.35 if that's what you chose to answer. Either one is fine, percentage or decimal. Approved, will this be approved? No. Nope. GDSR is what? Above 32%. So you should have a GDSR if it's, so 32% is the magic number. If it's above, that's bad. If it's below, that's good. Okay? So at the very least, your study sheet should have that, because if they ask you for it, they're not going to give you the mark unless you mention the 32 and tell us why, whether you're above or below it. Keep going. A house is purchased with the 2 options. Purchasing 1,200 square feet, that's the size. A mortgage payment of $1,400. You also have the choice of renting, same space, same rent. Explain one possible advantage of purchasing a house. What would it be? You may renovate at will. Okay? You don't have to ask your landlord. You can just do whatever you want, no problem. What else is an advantage of owning? What's that? You build equity. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead and be loud when I ask. You build equity. You have more privacy. Have more privacy. Nobody can kick you out of your house, right? Unless you don't pay, of course. But other than that, your landlord can't say, hey, guess what? I'm selling the building out, right? They can't do that. So a lot of advantages of owning. Explain one possible advantage of renting. lower startup cost, and you can also say utilities usually included. You can say lower maintenance costs. I'm shortening now, please don't do that on the exam. You actually want to write legibly, because they do audit these, they do grab random ones and they mark it themselves. So you do want something that's legible. Easier to relocate. So in this case, there's no story behind it. Oh, Sam is moving out. She must pick between the following two options. So I guess it will be easier to relocate. So there's a bit of a context, but really you could just take these off your study sheet, put it down, and you're good to go. All right, next. So this one shouldn't take you too long. Obviously, don't give me, okay guys, don't give me more than one bullet if you're not absolutely sure. Because if you say two things that contradict each other, you lose the mark. So just give me one. The one that you know for sure is the one, okay? Question 4. Because otherwise they think you're just writing, just copying your study sheet onto that thing. It's like you pick, right? They don't want that. Jing Wei is purchasing a home for $310,000. There's a down payment of 5%. The rest she will finance over 25 years. Amortize. Make sure you're not scared. Amortize. That's the same as paying it over 25 years. Okay. Calculate the amount borrowed for the mortgage. So I would say find 5%, right? If you divide that by 100, you get this, and just multiply it by the mortgage itself. And so that's calculate. You get 294, no, sorry, the down payment is 15,500. And so the amount borrowed is basically the loan. That's 310,000 minus 15,500. That would be 294,500 that you need to borrow. Okay, so circle it. If you have a bunch of numbers, you're like, that is my final answer. Calculate the monthly mortgage payment if it costs $526 per month for each $1,000 borrowed. This is what we call the table rate. Okay, if there is no table anywhere, then that is, they have to give you a table rate to figure out your payment. So mortgage payment is price minus down times table rate divided by 1,000. So technically the table rate is like a mill rate. If you think about it, it's also divided by 1,000. Do we already know what the price minus the down is? It's this, right? So just take that number. I'm just giving you this to make sure you have this on your study sheet, that's all. Then it's 526 over 1,000. And if you do this, if you crunch those numbers, and my key is a little, has a mind of its own today, 1549.07, and verify that. Okay, so that's what you pay every month. They only gave you 1 mark for it, okay? Because you already figured out what the mortgage or the loan is. So this part right here is the mortgage / loan. Okay, when you subtract, right, that's what we did before. C, calculate the cost of financing or the interest paid over the 25 years. 2 marks. This is where you use the total interest. That would be payment times 12 months times the number of years that you're amortizing for minus the loan or the mortgage, right, what you're borrowing. And so your payment in this case is $1549.07 times 12 times 25, and we're going to subtract the amount that we've borrowed, which is way up here in A. Don't forget that step. Okay, this is what you've paid the bank, right? And this, when you subtract it, that's how much they've charged you in interest. This part right here amounts to $464,721. That's this part minus $294,500. You probably get a mark out of this already. Now subtract and get you the other mark. So you've paid $170,221 in interest. That's a lot of money. But that's because you took so long to pay it off. How to save? How can you save on interest? What can you do? Give me some, just quick. Save on interest. You want to shorten the time you take to pay. That's what it is. How can you achieve that? Negotiate a what? Interest rate? Yes, that would be good. Lower interest rate. What else? What can you do to speed up the process of paying off?
Bigger down payment.
Bigger down payment. There we go. Now we're talking. Bigger down payment. Shorten amortization. If it sounds too complicated, just say, ask the bank to pay it off in 20 years instead of 25 years. Right? Use your own words. You don't have to use the fancy words. Okay, this is just an aside because I can see them asking you that. How can you lower your payment, the amount you pay every month? Larger down payment is still a good one. You can ask them to pay longer, so 30 years instead of 25 years, right? Extend it. Then your payment goes down, but you're going to pay more interest. Question 5, multiple choice. Which of the following is an ongoing homeownership cost? Which one would you say? Property taxes? That's correct. Never stops. Okay? Property taxes all the time. Land transfer is a one time. What about another ongoing? Let's do another one. Insurance. Okay, insurance, what else? What's that? Ongoing. Maintenance. You got to be a bit more specific. But property taxes, insurance, now I'm even thinking, what's the other one I gave you? What's that? Hydro, electricity bill. Internet. Internet, I'm not sure if they would count that because you don't need it to run the home. You might disagree, but they might. Electricity, you need to heat your home, right? Or else you'll burst the pipes. Okay, keep going. Land transfer tax, right next door. Steve is purchasing a property valued at $230,000. As shown in the chart, he has found that for the first $150,000, you pay $900. Look what they did. They started the process that I always start you off with. So the first $150,000, it's $900 already. So what are they asking for? Calculate the land transfer tax due on the next 50,000. So they actually want this amount right here in this cell. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pretend that table isn't there. And I hope you have this on your study sheet. For the first 30,000, right? The first 30,000 you pay 0% tax. So it's just $0. You're left with 200,000. On the next 60,000 you pay 0.5%. So you take away the 60,000, you multiply that by what? 0.05 or 0.005? Yeah, divide it by 100, okay? That is 300, so I'm kind of copying a little bit of what they've done. That leaves you with 140,000 minus 60,000. How much do you pay on that one? 1%. That's 0.01. That's $600. So far we haven't done anything they don't already know. Okay? Now we do the next one. What do we take away? Let's take away first here. This would be what, 80,000? Right? We take away the 50,000. What are the taxes we pay on that 50,000? 1.5%. So we multiply that by 0.15, and that is $750. Let's put that in the table here. You know what? I don't think you need to fill in the table because calculate what this number is. You just have to make sure you circle it. That is what they ultimately want, the one I just circled. Okay? So sometimes they break this down, sometimes they just want the total amount. Calculate the land transfer tax due on any amount in excess of 200,000. Let's make an arrow. They just want that number there. Let's continue our journey. What's 80,000 minus 50,000? 30,000. What do we do now? Right, we stop subtracting, right? We were done. We went through the 30, 60, 60, 50. You are now here in this area where you pay 2%. So you basically just go times 0.02, and that gives you $600. Okay, so technically this is 600, and that's all they wanted. Let's keep going. I'm just wanting a run through so you have an idea of what it's like. I know that you would like to work on it slower at your own pace. That's what those other four are there for, the other exams. Sven owns a home. Sven did not move, but in 2017, his house insurance premiums were $100 less than his 2016 premium. Describe, right, you have to write something, one possible reason why Sven's premium were lower in 2017. So 2017 is lower than 2016. What could have been the reason that it went down? Just give me something, I want to hear. Don't be scared. I didn't bite you once this whole semester. I won't do it, I promise. Switch to standard. There we go. Sven may have switched. Switching. What's that? Switched from, what's the other one? Standard, and there's the other one? Premium, comprehensive. May have switched from comprehensive to standard. Yes. Yes. What else? I will say this. See if this relates. May have gotten an alarm system installed. Do you remember me talking about the alarm system saving you on your premiums? You remember that? I hope so. Another thing is it might be due to the fact that he's claim free. due to a claim-free record. So if you don't make claims, insurance companies love you because all you're doing is you're paying, but you're never claiming. So they give you a discount because they like that. Okay, it might be an incentive not to make a claim, even if something goes wrong. You might say, you know what, I'll just fix it myself. That's it for home finance, guys. 7 questions. On to probability. Here we go. A ring is tossed into 6 boxes, one of 6 boxes. With each toss, there's an equal chance of the ring landing in any of these boxes here. A ring is tossed 100 times with the following results. So, right, 22 and 78, it landed in white 22 times, not white 78 times. Okay. State the theoretical probability that the ring will land in the white box. Theoretical, you want to look at the actual game. You do not, these are the results. You want to look at this. What should happen? What should or is expected to happen? Make sure you have some sort of note on your study sheet that tells you what theoretical probability is. So in that case, there is 6 boxes and one of them is white. That's it. In theory, it should be 1 out of 6. Experimental, what actually happened? Right? See the results. Okay. So we're going to go to our results. I'm just going to scroll up a bit so you can see it. So then we actually go to this. We go to our results. And so, oh, they threw in that not. What's the probability of not landing in white? How many tests did we perform? It does tell us it's 100 times. So 100 trials. And how many times did it not land in white? 78. There you go. That's it. Don't turn it into a decimal. Don't turn it into a percent unless they ask you to do that. So that's the difference. This is, just for reference, this is 1.667. It keeps going. And this is what? 0.78 or 78%. Look at how far, I mean, they're not even the same. They're not talking about the same. This is not white and this is white. But if they asked you for decimal, that's what you would do. Keep going. The probability of being born with 1 extra finger or toe is approximately 1 out of 500. That's the probability. Calculate the probability as a percent. This is a freebie, guys. They just want you to tell that one. This is in words, basically. So we're going to state that as a fraction. You're not done yet. You just have to go times 100. Okay? That's all you have to do. So you take 1 divided by 500 times 100, and there you go. The chances are really, really small, right? 0.2%. When you multiply by 100, you must have a percent at the end. The only exception is, you're listening? Which one is the exception? When you multiply by 100 and you don't put a percent in the back. Percentile rank. Okay, that's the only time. Keep going. 10. Stephanie offers horse-drawn carriage tours. It costs $30 per day for feed and care. Each day, she will operate either premium tours, standard tours, or no tours at all. The table below shows the fee for each tour and the probability it will occur on each day. Calculate what? Calculate Stephanie's expected value. Okay, so you have to be careful here. I will give you the formula for this particular case. I will say the probability of premium multiplied by the fee. Plus, so you're winning if you get someone to pick the premium tour, you're winning $100 in a sense. Okay, then it's probability of a standard tour. Okay, probability of a standard times $50, the fee that is associated with it. And if there's no tour, you're losing, right? You're not making any money. So we're not even going to try that one. But there's a 40% chance of you not getting a tour because this adds up to 100% here, remember. Okay, 100% chance of all of these three things happening. So what you do at the end is you go minus the cost at the very end. Only once you subtract the cost at the very end. What's the cost to play in this game? $30, yeah. So we go, probability of premium is 0.1. I'll just turn that into a decimal right away. And the fee is $100. Plus, probability of standard is 50%. You win, or the horse owner gets 50%. Minus $30. That's right. I like how you did that in unison. Okay. And so we get, this gives us $10 plus this gives us $25, and those could be decimals, folks, okay, minus $30. And here's where we're landing the plane, right? 10 plus 25 is 35 minus 30, that gives us plus 5, okay, $5. I'm going to go 0.00. This is our final answer. So the owner, okay, expected to win since expected value is positive. That's what we're always interested in, whether expected value is positive or negative. The customer will always lose, right? Like you come and you pay for the horse ride and that's it. Okay, keep going. In many soccer leagues, the odds in favor of scoring on a penalty kick are 7-3. Can you rewrite that? If you see odds in favor 7-3, let's write that in proper format. That means it's 7-3 like that. What follows the in favor? What follows? Scoring, right? Scoring the penalty kick. So that means if it's in favor of scoring, that means that this is scoring. And this is not scoring. Yeah. Missing, yeah. Exactly. It's missing. Not scoring, missing. So we first determine that. Now, what does it ask for? What's the probability in fraction form of not scoring a penalty kick? Probability, it's always number over total. That's one thing I want you to remember. Okay. What is our total in this case? How many are we considering in total if it's 7-3? 10, yes. And which of these two numbers are we going to put on top? 3? Yeah, okay. Well, but it all hinged in making sure you translated this statement to this, right? And then just pick the number. So it's 3 over 10. What would be the odds against scoring a penalty kick? Yes. odds against. So if this question had said, state the odds against scoring, you just flip it. If you already have the odds, just flip. Flip OG, right? I got that in one more time. There we go. Flip the original. So this is just an aside, of course, right? There's so much space here. 1 mark. Okay. Question 12. Jose cuts down 63 trees per month. So emphasis on the per month as well. I don't know where this is going. Each time he cuts down a tree, a 1% probability that he will need to repair the chainsaw every time. How many times, right? Calculate how many times, calculate that is, how many times Jose should expect to repair the chainsaw in 1 year. And notice that this is worth 2 marks. It's more than just meets the eye. I will say this, trees per year, I will focus on that. That would be 60 times 12. And that's 720 trees that he cuts down in a year. That is 1 mark right there if you figure that out. Then it's repairs. I would go 720 trees times, what's 1% as a decimal? 0.01, okay? Just divide it by 100. So that would be 7.2. Can you leave it like that? It's number of repairs, correct? You cannot leave it like that. You lose half a mark, unless you already lost it earlier, if you round it incorrectly. So you would say approximately 7 repairs. And this is annoying, but they do say they accept 8 as well, as long as you don't do. The only time you don't round is if this had been the average. If you found the average number of repairs, then 7.2 is fine, because it's a measurement. You want to compare, oh, last year I had to repair it 7.2 times. This year I had to do 7.3 times. It means that it broke down a bit more often. All right, keep going. A bag contains the following tiles. David removes 1B and does not return it. What does that remind you of? Does not return. These are dependent events. Okay? He then randomly removes a second tile. State the odds in favor of the second tile being C. If they give you a diagram, guys, use it. A B is taken out, you cross it out. It's no longer there. That B is removed. What are the odds in favor of being a C? Odds. Odds. Please don't mix odds and probability. How many C's are there? 3. How many non-C's are there? 2. How many are there in total? And this is 5, right? Check. You get yourself a check mark there and you move on. So a lot of them are quick if you know what you're doing. Okay? What if it says, what's the probability of grabbing a C? Because they could do that. What if it asks that? How many are there left? 5, right? Sorry, the total I meant. There's 5, right? And 3 of them are C's. So that's how that's different. Okay? So, all right. That's it for probability. Not too bad, I would say. It was a decent year for probability. Vehicle finance. Choose the letter that best completes the statement. One cost a CAPS would pay when purchasing a new car that he would not have to pay when purchasing a used car privately is. So when you buy a new car, right, you would not have to pay something as opposed to a used car. Did you say book value?
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, because you never pay the book value, you pay taxes on it. Let me read that one more time. I'm confused right now. One cost, accounts would pay, would pay when purchasing a new car that he would not have to pay when he bought a used car is. So they're asking actually that you would pay. What is one thing that you would pay if you buy a new car? One of these two here. Which one do you pay? Which one is the one that a used car does not have to pay? GST, that's right. So that's the one. Okay, I will do this. Used, only 7% PST. New, you pay PST and GST. Okay, so that's 7% and 5%. Okay, so in this case, if you buy a new one, you do pay for that GST that you otherwise would not have had to pay. And you know what? You could have grabbed your green formula sheet if you're absolutely stuck. There's a taxes on vehicles right there. If you buy a brand new, it's yes and yes. If you buy used from a dealership, yes and yes. If you buy privately, yes for PST, no for GST. Okay, so there are ways to help yourselves out if you're stuck. And by the way, I don't know what they're going to do if you don't put B in here. I think if you circle, you're fine, but let's do both just to be absolutely sure. Next, Melanie purchased a van for $8,000 after taxes. What does that mean? If it says $8,000 after tax, it means taxes are included. I think the wording that they're going to use, I'm going to look at the new one next week with you. Okay. She made a down payment of $1,500 and it's financing the remaining. Calculate the total amount that you will finance. Well, it's the amount borrowed, guys. Slash loan is going to be $8,000 minus $1,500. I'm very surprised they do this twice because they did that with home finance already, but that's okay. So $6,500 is the amount you need to borrow in this case. Let me just see here. Yeah, B was the right answer earlier with that. So this is one marker. B, the bank offers Melanie an annual interest rate of 7% over 5 years to finance the van. Calculate the amount of interest Melanie will pay on the first month's payment. Is this total interest or just lowercase I, first month? It's just the first month. Okay, so lowercase I, it's going to be the loan times the interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. The loan is $6,500. The interest rate is what? 7 divided by 100 is 0.07. All of that divided by 12. 2 marks for that? Wow. They have changed that. Nowadays it's only 1 mark. But that is $37.92. I bet you a lot of the things that you're seeing here are going to help you on the exams that you're actually working through. Before we move on to the next one, I want you to have this on your study sheet. And in my opinion, I think you should definitely. The entire bar represents the payment. Okay, this is the payment. Every payment is made up of 2 components. It has a little bit of money that goes towards paying off your amount that you owe, which is called principal, and a little bit of it goes towards interest, which is the bank's money. you just found for the very first month how much of that money that you're giving them, how much of the payment goes towards the interest. Okay? That's what you're finding when you're doing one of these. Okay, state one way Melanie could reduce the monthly payment up for her van. Give me at least one. I like this one. Increase down payment. Short and sweet, you're done. Another way, increase the years to pay off. Like, say I want a 7-year loan, even though some banks won't allow you, but you can still try, right? They only give you 5 years on used cars and 7 on brand new cars. Because used cars, they lose their value too quick, so you might actually owe them more than what your car is worth if you go past 5 years. They don't want that. Next question. Myra is purchasing a used car from a dealership for $3,500. Oh, there's the word used. Used car from the dealership for $3,500 before taxes. What does that mean? That this is the amount before taxes have been added. Okay, so you're going to have to add taxes. The trade-in for the old vehicle is $500. That must be an old clunker, right? $500. Calculate the total amount Maya will pay for the car after taxes. So they want you to find out how much would it be after taxes. We don't know yet. We just know before taxes. So this is the one I gave you. Used, dealer. Remind me of what I gave you again. I think I went price minus trade times 1.12, right? So you take the 3,500, you take away the 500 trade-in. That needs to happen before you apply the taxes. And then we just go times 1.12. So that is, back in this era, taxes were 13%. So you get 1 mark for the 3,000, and you're going to get 1 more mark for adding the 12% taxes. 3,360. Okay, another mark for that. 2 marks. You have this formula, I hope. Okay. Let's keep going. Henry is a long-distance delivery driver in Manitoba who needs a vehicle a new vehicle. He often drives on gravel roads that damage his car. Explain one reason why Henry should purchase a new vehicle instead of leasing. He will have to pay for damages as well as excessive wear and tear at the end of the lease. That's one. What else could we have used?
There's no restrictions on mileage.
That's right. I almost gave away your punchline, eh? That's right. The long distance part, right? He drives long distances. Which may end up costing more if the mileage restriction is surpassed. Mr. Dirksen, is this English class or? I thought I just finished my English exam. Mr. Dirksen, what's this? You can do short and sweet, that's fine. You could just say there's a mileage restriction when leasing. Not a good idea. Something like that. Given that he's driving long distances. Like, try to be specific. It is helpful. So keep that in mind. Thank you. You could, you know what? Even if you talked about modifications, like you couldn't modify it, right? Even if you wanted to put some mean mud flaps on the new one, you couldn't do it. You couldn't modify it. Question 18. The distance from the pod to Calgary is 1174 kilometers. Lloyd's scooter, that's a long drive with a scooter, has a fuel economy of 1.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Calculate the amount of fuel used if Lloyd drives a scooter from the PA to Calgary. I will say this, fuel economy is always going to be liters over distance times 100, okay? That's the formula for fuel economy, but I don't want you to use it because you already have it. You do know what the fuel economy is. So work with it, work with it. What do I mean by that? Write it as a fraction. That statement right there is really saying you're using 1.9 liters for every 100 kilometers that you drive that scooter. And so what else do we need? On the other side, we know that the distance to be driven, right, is 1174. So then you put an X on top and you do a cross multiplication and division right there. You always start where the X is, multiply, then divide. So it's 1174 times 1.9 divided by 100. That is 22.31 liters. What is gas today? Cost? If gas is, I think it's $1.30 something per liter. That's a cheap trip with a scooter. It's just you're on a scooter. You got to know that one. Okay. You're basically driving against the wind, right? Cost is 22.31 liters. Just multiply it by 1.30. Like multiply it by the price of gas. So 22.31 times 1.3. And it's $29 even, right? In this case, it's 003. So for 30 bucks, you go from the pod to Calgary with a scooter. Okay. All right. Keep going. This is a complete aside, so even if you don't, right? But it could be that they ask you for it. What's the cost of the trip? $29. Keep going. Shauna is at an insurance agency to renew her car insurance policy. Please don't mix up car insurance with home insurance. Okay? Describe 2 changes she could make to lower the total cost of her insurance. Place a response in each line. You could increase the deductible. That's one I would like you to have on your study sheet. Increasing your deductible decreases the premium. You could also opt out of rental vehicle rental if damaged. So if your car is not drivable, you need to get a rental. You pay extra for that if you opt in. You could also decrease the third party liability. You remember that one? Third party liability, that's like, that covers you if you damage somebody else's property. You could decrease that amount. Can you increase your driving record when you're at the office, at the insurance? You can't. It takes time. 1 year. Every year you get a merit, but that takes you a long time. So it's because at the insurance agency, I had a lot of students say, improve your driving record, drive safer. It unfortunately didn't fly, okay? Question 20. Surge needs to pay for the following repairs. Muffler, $207. This is how much time it costs to put the muffler in. The transmission, $600 for the part, 2.5 hours for the labor. Calculate the total labor cost before taxes if the center charges $110 per hour. We'll just go 0.5 plus 2.5, that's 3 hours. We're going to go 3 hours times, this is exactly the same as the fuel question. 330, no tax, right? This says no taxes, they want, right? No tax is what they're saying with that statement. Calculate the total amount Surge will pay to the service center after taxes. So they want you to include taxes here. So I'm going to say this. Parts, yeah, go ahead. Parts, 207 plus 600. That is $807 for the parts. Then we're going to go subtotal. You remember that table I gave you on the test where you had to fill in every box separately? So that could happen as well. So make sure you fill in the box when that is. Subtotal is 807 plus 330. And just for time's sake, I'm going to get my, that's 1137. So almost there. You get a mark for that already, according to the province. And then we just got to add taxes to it. And I have to do that because they did 13% back in the day. That is your final answer right there. This is the quick way of doing taxes. The long way, I need you to know this one. 1137 times 0.07, 1137 times 0.05, PST, GST separately. I need you to be comfortable with that if they ever do that. 79.59. 1137 times 0.05, that's 56.85. And then total would be 1137 plus 79.59 plus 56.85. You still get the same amount, okay? I just need you to be comfortable. Sorry, this is PST and this is GST. I know it's a long afternoon. I know. I want to make note of something here for you right now about taxes. This is brand new. Read this. I'm gonna give you a copy of the latest. PST is now called RST. Who knew, right? So don't let that throw you off. It's still the same. It's still 7%. Watch here. RST is 7%. So maybe I'll remind you next week. Let's keep going. Chris purchases a snowmobile for $11,500. The snowmobile depreciates at 15% per year. Calculate the amount of depreciation in the first year. So how much has it lost? You just go 11,500 times 0.15. You have to have a dollar amount for your final answer. That is this. $1,725 is lost. That's it. 1 mark for that. If there's a percentage, chances are you're going to have to multiply it by something. Okay. Calculate how much the snowmobile is worth, right? The value of it at the end of the first year. You just go 11,500 minus 1,725, and you get $9,775. So what could have been one question, they broke it down into 2 smaller questions. If they asked you for 2 years, guys, you would have had to subtract 1175 from this, multiply by 0.15 again, subtract one more time, right, if they wanted the total value after 2 years. So just be ready for that. Look at the test for it. Question 22. Odette is purchasing a used vehicle privately. Okay, it's used and it's private. She has some additional costs to pay, $40 for safety and $15 for a lien search. Calculate the total cost after tax. So they want taxes there. Used private, it's going to be price plus book slash price times 0.07 plus safety times 1.05 plus I think it's lien, right? Lien is not taxed. Just remember that. Do we care about any of this here right now? No, they just want the total for the additional costs. So we just want this part right here. So basically, $40 gets taxed GST only, and the lien search does not even get taxed, like nothing. So that is 50. Sorry, I'm a little lost here. $42 plus 15, so that's $57. That's it. They just want you to understand. Oh, safety, it's 5%. Oh, lien search, no taxes. Okay, keep going. Trig. Let me just. These first couple are fairly quick to do here. You've got an extreme biker ride constructed a ramp with a 1.5 meter long takeoff as shown below. You see this, right? State the type of triangle used for the ramp. What kind of triangle is this? Equilateral, yes. Honestly, if you were here for that, you should be able to answer it. State the measure of one of the ramp's base angles, like one of these. What is it going to be? Equilateral triangle, they're all 60. So that's all you have to do, 60 degrees, boom, you're done. It says state, so they don't expect you to calculate, they expect you to just write it down. Next. Mario's taking a photo. All right, keep going. Mario's taking a photo of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, 20 meters away, so the picture trumps everything else. The Leaning Tower of Pisa has an angle of 44 degrees from the vertical. Vertical, guys, is 90. That's vertical. So if you're 4 degrees off, doesn't it make sense that it would be a 94-degree angle at the bottom there? I remember that year a lot of students are like, Mr. Dirksen, what's the 4 doing there? And I agree, I think it wasn't fair from their part. You know what I said? Look at the diagram. Right? They just look at the diagram. It tells you everything you need to know. Calculate the distance from Mario to the top of the tower. So they went from here to here. Let's call that X. Okay. What would you use? Okay. What would you use here, guys? Which law? Side angle side, which is cosine law. Yes. So side angle side calls for cosine law. Yes. Which one in particular? It's this.
Squared minus b squared equals c squared?
That would be Pythagorean theorem, but it looks like it.
B squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine?
Yes. So I'm going to go a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine of x, right? So I'm using x as like, this is angle x here, and that's the side. Okay? Yes, that's the one. I know that's the one you were thinking. So x squared is equal to 20 squared plus 56.67 squared minus 2 times. So basically, I just want you to try this. Make sure you know how to type this into your calculator. That would be really good if you are able to get this right, because it's 3 marks on the line, right? So can you type that in real quick? Using the calculator you're planning on using. So you got to make sure the first two are squared, and it's minus 2 times 20 times 56.67 times cosine of 94. My calculator is kind of dimish here. So that's 3,769.612 and so forth. Don't forget to take the root of that. That's 61.40, because it's 397. The 7 bumps the 9 to a 0, a 10 basically, which bumps the 3 to a 4. Don't forget your units. Voila. Does it make sense that it's longer than the other two? Yeah, it does. Okay, keep going. 3 marks right there. They usually have a sine law and a cosine law. That seems to be the pattern. But not always, just read carefully. State the length of side A and the measure of angle B in this parallelogram below. What do we know about a parallelogram when it comes to angles? This one, yeah, these two are the same. So you can actually say this is 50. Okay? And how we know that these two are related as well. These two. How would we get this angle here, though? What did I tell you about these two? What do these two always add up to? 180 every single time. So have that on your study sheet that, right, 2 consecutive like that are 180. So this would be, I'm going to do that here, 180 minus 50, right? So it's 130 degrees. What about the length of side A? That one is easier. If this is 8, then this is 8 also, right? These are the same if it's a parallelogram. So boom, you got it. 2 marks. 2 marks. Moving on. What about this one? Juanita is building a table in the shape of a regular octagon. Would you know how many sides an octagon has without the picture? You would? Okay. N is equal to 8. Okay. You know that right off the top. Sketch and label one central angle. Central is at the center. It all has to do with the center. And so you pick one of the sides of this polygon and just make a slice. Okay? And this is where the central angle is. It's 360 all around, but just one of them is going to be 360 divided by n, the number of sides. Calculate the measure of one central angle. I thought you'd never ask. Is that still going on? 360 divided by 8, that is? 45? Okay, boom. 1 mark. And the measure of one interior angle. That's this formula right here. It's n minus 2 times 180 over n. Okay? That's on your green formula sheet here. So I'm not making stuff up here. And interior angle is right there. It's just a little different. The 180 is in front of the n minus 2. So we're going to go 8 minus 2 times 180 over 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. And that is 135? Okay. 135 degrees. What if they asked you to identify it on the diagram? Would you know where to find it? I hope so. Let's go and do that, just for kicks. Pick one of the corners and just make an arc like this and put the letter I there. That's one of the interior angles there. All right, let's keep going. Would you know where to find the exterior angle? Pick any of the corners, but you got to extend one of the sides like that. That is an exterior angle. There's 8 of all of them. 8 central, 8 interior, 8 exterior. What do all exterior angles always add up to? It's 360. Yeah, think of a square, a rectangle. If it's 90 interior, then there will be a 90 exterior. 4 times 90 is 360. Keep going. Maria is watching a soccer match. The following sketch is the view from her seat. Calculate the measure of angle A. We want this angle. Which law are we going to use here? Please don't use SOHCAHTOA. Don't use SOHCAHTOA. Sine law, cosine law. Sine law? How come? We have a pair. This is a pair. We've got the side, right? We've got the side that is across the angle, right? That is a pair. So this is how this goes. You have to go sine A over side A, and then you have to go sine of another angle over the side across from it. That's in a nutshell what sine law is. Every time you start that way. So which one do I start with? I'm going to go with sine of 120 degrees over 110 meters. And then I'm going to go sine of A. I don't know what A is right now, but I do know the side length, that's 80 meters. Is A going to be bigger or smaller than 120? Smaller, right? Because there's a shorter side across from it than this one. So this is my variable. I start here, I cross multiply, and I divide. Right? You cross multiply this way, and you divide by this one at the end. So sine of A, not just A, sine of A is 80 times sine of 120 divided by 110. You got to make sure you get the decimal out of this one. 80 times sine of 120 divided by 110. That gives me this. I'm not going to write down the whole thing. I'm just going to write down a couple of numbers. Keep it on my calculator. What needs to happen now?
Second function sine.
Second function sine. I like that. That's inverse. So you got to go sine inverse of that. You had good teachers in the past, because trig has been, you've been indoctrinated. 39.04. That's the angle. It's not 0.6, right? You have to use the inverse. I'm going to highlight the inverse part. Okay. Use sine inverse when finding angles. Okay, very important. Let's keep going. Question 28. Choose one of the following equations that could be used to find the number of diagonals. Let's go look for the formula of diagonals. What is it? It's n times minus 3 divided by 2. This one has how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So n is equal to 5. So technically, if I plug that in, it should be 5 times 5 minus 3 divided by 2, which is, which one would you pick? 5 minus 3 gives you 2, right? It's D. This one, not quite this one. So it's D. Because it's 5 times 2 over 2, right? That's what you get when you subtract 5 minus 3. So that's the one you would want to pick. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of math on the side to figure it out. Let's keep going. Precision measurements. Given the following measurements, state the minimum value. Do not round your final answer. Minimum is 2.5, yeah? I'm going to go minus 0 because whatever is here, that's what you subtract from the nominal. So yes, it's 2.5. Thank you. Yeah, but the nominal is always the big number up front. So the nominal is 2.5 as well, okay? So in this case, the minimum and the nominal are both the same. Please don't do this on the exam because now you circled 2 answers. That's my bad. There should have been more, just a note. Okay, okay, next. What's the precision of this ruler? Just focus on 1 inch right here. Let's focus in on just this part from here to here. How many markings do you have? That's right, a quarter or 0.25. You remember the high minus low divided by gaps? High is 1, low is 0. So 1 minus 0 is 1. Divided by 4 is a quarter, right? So this would be 0.25 of an inch or a quarter of an inch. Or if you said inches, you would have been fine as well. Okay, so you can do whatever you want there. Yeah, when it's imperial, when it's in inches, just count the gaps and that is your precision. Next, a door manufacturer state the measurement of the door. State the nominal value of the door. What would you say? 32. Yes. That's an easy mark. Move on, right? You save so much time if you know what you're doing. You spent like 15 seconds on it, reading and answering. Next, a baker fills 250 milliliters of measuring cup with sugar. The true amount of sugar in the measuring cup ends up being 225. Explain what could have affected the accuracy of the measuring cup. Didn't fill it all the way. Not fill it all the way. I would say what's happening is he's pouring it into something and realizing he has less than what he should have had. So you can say the cup could have been warped or damaged. You know when you use it to measure something really hot and then the whole thing kind of like shrinks or whatever? That would affect it. Using it for liquids prior to, right? So if you had used it to measure water and then you do your sugar, yeah, well, guess what? Some sugar is going to get stuck on that cup, right?
Is it okay to answer a measuring cup is damaged?
I think yes. I would say, let me see here real quick. I'm just going to show you what the key says. Here, I'm going to give you the options that they gave us. There are residual ingredients in the cup, so maybe there was something else in the cup and put it on top. The measure cup is dented or damaged. Measuring cup was not manufactured accurately, so maybe the markings or the 250 just isn't correct. The tolerance was 25 milliliters or more, yada, 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 right? You want to see sometimes they have student answers. Didn't fill it to the top, 0 out of 1. So that's not enough sugar added. That's also 0 out of 1. One student got a 1 out of 1 here. If the measuring cup is plastic, it could have been deformed in a way that reduces the total amount of sugar in the cup. Right? So something very specific needs to be mentioned there. Okay, let's keep going. Joel is cutting a new pair of insoles for his shoes. The true length of the shoes is 25 centimeters. Choose which measurement Joel should use so the insoles will fit the shoes the best. Not too small or not too large. This is where you want the precision. What's the precision of this measurement? 1 centimeter. So uncertainty is plus or minus 0.5, right? So you should technically say 25 plus or minus 0.5. Yeah, I have no units here. I know it's wrong to do that, but that's not our answer. Our answer is going to be over here. So you just grab. Did I do something wrong here? Right, because if you, the true length of his shoes is this. So the insoles cannot be longer than this, correct? So I'm still going to say I need to have the uncertainty, right? So technically I need to have it at this, wouldn't you say? Because out of this you get 25 or you get 24, that's okay. Here you would get what? 25 as well, but then you get, you're too small. This would be probably too small. The problem here is that it's too small. Don't do that. Let's think it through. So this is one of those that you're like, let's see here. I would say, wouldn't you want the uncertainty to be the smallest? I've determined that the uncertainty is 0.5, right? So that's why this one is the winner. This is the winner. Let me just check here. Yeah, C is the winner. That's according to them. They don't explain why, they just give you C. But kind of use what you, well, wouldn't you, I think the reasoning here is you would want to be as close as possible. Like if you pick one of these, yeah, you get to the 25, but it's too small if it's cut too short, right? You don't like it too small. It's like all wiggly, it's all over the place. So in this scenario, this is the only one. This one is a fail for sure because you're going over 25. That one is out right off the top. So you have the choice between the three here, and given that the uncertainty is this, I'm talking too much, I know. You're like, I would have just rolled the dice, right? Don't do that, but please don't do it. Please don't do it. Think about it. You're smarter than that. A spark plug in a car has a gap that is precise to 1/100th of an inch. If you don't like fractions, you go like this. 0.01 of an inch. Okay? Explain why you would not use the ruler below to measure that gap. You can't use this because look, this is like 0.01 of an inch. It's like so small. You would have to make a reference to the scale. In this case, a ruler is too big, right, to measure such small gap. Okay, so you can talk about the scale being off. It's a standard unit, standard measurement unit. Inches is standard, but the scale is off, right? Anybody been in the shop? Anybody in the mechanics? Okay, you use is it a feeler's gauge? Something like that. Use a very thin gauge to measure that gap. It's very precise. Let's keep going. 35. A welder is joining 3 pieces of pipe end to end. She measures them, a precise to 0.1. That's important. Using a measuring tape that is precise to 0.1 centimeters. The 3 pieces of pipe are shown below. Calculate the combined length of the 3 pieces in this format. This should remind you of combined uncertainty. So we're going to add up all those measurements. I hope that you understand that you have to add them, right? Because you're welding them together. You have one big piece. All of them have a precision of 0.1. Right? That's what they're telling us. We could have arrived to it from the measurement, but they've also told us that we need to figure out the uncertainty. Uncertainty is half of the precision. I just divide it by, right? You just divide this by 2. We don't even care about the precision. I'm going to kind of lightly cross it off. What you want to do is you want to add all of these numbers. You get 1 mark for that. Plus or minus, you got to add up all of these, which is 0.15 centimeters. Okay. So you get 1 mark for adding the measurements and 1 mark for actually getting your combined uncertainty right. If it asks you for the max, what would you do? This plus that. Yeah. The shortest possible combined length, this minus that. So that, watch for it. Keep going. I want to get you out of here as soon as possible, just so you can enjoy the afternoon. An employee doing quality control at a screw factory is measuring to check the diameter of the screws, and here you have it. State the tolerance of the measurement. Do you remember what the formula for tolerance is? Max minus min, yes. That is the formula. So we need to figure out our max. What is our max? 7.85 plus 0.12. And the min? 7.85 minus 0.06. Let me just get this right here. Oh, they just give me the final answer. This is 7.97. And this is 7.79 if you subtract here. And so the tolerance is max minus the min. And there's other ways of doing this. I'm not going to say that this is the only way, and we are in millimeters. So the tolerance is 0.18 millimeters. What's the nominal in this one? Yes, okay, got it. Statistics. This is it. This is the last unit. They usually end up with statistics. A school group went on a weekend ice fishing. The following table shows how many fish were caught by each student and then released. Calculate Sue's percentile rank. Do you remember what percentile rank? It's B over N times 100. B is people, right, caught less than Sue in this case. N is total including Sue. That's what that is. What's B in this case? How many people caught less than her? Only 2? You figured that out already? Hold on. there's Sue, and there's only Dave and Alexa. Okay, so 2. And what's N? 6. Yes. There we go. That's all you need. So please don't be adding 45, 16. Like a lot of students will just add it all up because it's like, hey, it's the average, isn't it? No, percentile rank doesn't care about that. So 2 over 6 times 100. 33.33. Repeat it. We can't have that, so you need to go 33 or 34.
But the answer would be what?
The 33rd percentile.
You just go 33 or 34, or you can, if this makes you feel better, but they will not take marks off for you not having the 3rd or 4th. Like, you will not lose marks. Either one. Don't give me both. Just do one or the other. As long as it's a whole number and no percent symbols, please. Whole number and no percent. Okay. Next to percentile rank. Next to this formula. Is this on your formula sheet? I don't think so. They removed it, so you have to add it. You have to add this formula to your study sheet and call it percentile rank. So that means that 33% of people caught less than her. Okay, that's what that means. A group of 20 students fundraised $3,000 at a local charity. Calculate the mean amount of money fundraised by each student, the average. How would you find the average in this case? That's right. 3,000 is the total. Like somebody added up all the amounts that were donated. We divide it by 20. That's right. So that is $150 per student. Is that actually true? Probably not. It could be someone that gave 0 and someone that gave like 2,000. Right? Like, you don't know, but there's 20 students, right? A bunch of students. So that's what they wanted there. The median amount raised by the group is 120. The median, that's the middle. Okay. Explain why eliminating the highest and the lowest amounts fundraised will not affect the median amount. Right. So let's put it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say there's 5 there, and the median is 120, right? If it's the middle number, correct? You can tell. If you cross this out and this out, it's still the middle number. Okay. So since we remove an equal amount from each end, the median remains. Okay? That's all you need to do there. The problem would be if you remove only 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom. Now you're messing things up, right? So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. You're brave. I admire your dedication. Let's keep going. 39. A golf course near a shopping center may be expanded. A survey is conducted at 2 locations. People in favor of the expansion. It says that the golf course, 95% are in favor. The weight that they have on this decision is 20%. Shopping center, 35% are in favor, but the weight of their decision is 80%. So they have more say. Theirs weighs more than the golf course people. Calculate the weighted mean. I want you, as soon as you read weighted mean, I want you to think of MAD. Multiply, add, divide. Okay. So how are we going to multiply here? We're going to go from one category to the next category. Okay, so we're going to multiply this way. Multiply, multiply. So let's go ahead and do that. 95 times 2, 95 times 20, I should say. That's 1900. 35 times 80, 2800. That's the multiplication part. What do we do next? Add. Yes. So you're finding the mean, so it's 19 plus 28. What are we going to divide by? If it's percentages, you remember? Does this add up to 100? No. But this adds up to 100. Like this category adds up to 100. So we divide by 100 automatically. We don't even do the... So 2800 divided by 100, 28%. Let me just make sure. I made a mistake, didn't I? I don't think I added. Yes, thank you. I appreciate the Mr. Dirksen. Let's do this right. Let's do this right. Can you tell we want to get out of here? Yeah, you can probably tell. 47. Thank you.
Can I continue this tomorrow?
I want to finish it. We're almost there. Watch. Like
What are we even doing tomorrow?
more review. I'm gonna torture you with review for. Okay, let's stay focused. We'll finish it in no time. Watch. The following table shows the amount of bushels per ton of various crops in Manitoba. Calculate the trimmed mean. Okay, the trimmed mean of the various crops by eliminating the two highest and the two lowest values. If they give you a table, just go ahead and do that. Which one are the two lowest? Yeah, so I'm going to cross that out. And the two largest, 73 is for sure one, right? This is the low and the low. High and oats. Yeah. So I removed two lows and two highs. So now we're just going to find the average of what remains. Okay, so the average would be 45.93 plus 39.37 plus 44.09 divided by 3. You get 129.39 divided by 3. And there you have it. It's 43.13. And they want you to have the units. That's why they say bushels per ton. I have no idea how much a bushel is, to be honest. I have no way even to wrap my head around it. Okay, almost there. In math class, David received the median score on his math test. Phil's score was at the 75th percentile. No student received the same score. State the approximate percentage of students who received a score between David and Phil's. Percentile rank, guys, think of it this way. Where is David? Sorry. Where is David? Is in the middle. There we go. 50th. Median. This is David. And where's Phil? Phil is in the 75th percentile. So David did all right. He's middle of the pack, right? Half of the people did less, scored less, half more. Phil is in the 75th, 75% scored less, 25 more. So how many are in between? 25%. Yes. Of people, because we're not talking how many percentage of people, right? So 25%. So that is our answer. Almost there, almost there. This is the last question. The last question. Here. This. Choose the letter that best completes the statement below. Removing a low outlier decreases the mean, increases the mean, has no effect on the mean, decreases the median. B. Yes, because if this is your number line, you have a bunch of numbers here and one here, Right now it's lowering it, right? As soon as you remove it, it goes up. So it will increase the mean. We did it.